And I want to welcome everybody again to today's call. My name's Jeff Bell, the Marketing Doctor, and the call you're on today is how to attract $1 million plus investment clients, plus tax, accounting, and bookkeeping leads using live teleseminars. If you received the confirmation and reminder emails from me, you should have had a link in there that has a study guide attached to it. You can go ahead, click on that link. I would suggest to get maximum value out of the teleseminar, go ahead, print that study guide so you can take notes on each topic that I cover during the teleseminar. And I think there are 9 pages, and we will get started here just a second. Make sure everybody gets on the line. If you have a question during the call, I would ask that you go ahead and hold it. I'm going to open up the lines a little bit later for questions and answers, or if it's a huge question, you need to have it answered real quick, go ahead, press star two to raise your hand on your phone, and I'll watch the lines and I can open those up to answer a question. Otherwise, the call is going to go like this. I've got a lot of information to cover. Again, there's a 9-page study guide that we're going to go through. I'm going to try and give you as much information as I can in probably 75 to 90 minutes on how to attract these investment clients. And at the same time, if you're not an investment advisor, an IAR, certified financial planner, but you're interested in doing that, either on your own or as part of maybe Troy Patton's Coach Patton program, we can go ahead and use live teleseminars to actually get accounting, bookkeeping, and tax leads too. It's very same or similar process. So I'm going to cover both of these and switch back and forth. I hope you can follow me, and that's kind of what the study guide is for. So again, if you've got the study guide in front of you, let's go ahead and start on page 1. That's my picture standing there in the upper left-hand corner. That's the date and the time and some of the dial-in details for today's call. I bring this to your attention. Obviously, you're looking at it, but if you do a live teleseminar, you always want to have some kind of reminder or study guide or note sheet. Sometimes I call them a cheat sheet with all the dial-in information that you can send out to anybody that's registered for the call to remind them to get on the call. Because you'd be surprised if 100 people sign up or register for your call, it's common for only 30% or 30 of those people to actually show up for the call. And if you have a study guide or some kind of reminder sheet on that front page where you're really just kind of physically telling them, hey, print this page, tape it to the wall, I want to make sure you don't miss this, you increase your chances of getting somebody on the call, and then obviously whatever information you give them, if they're on the call, they're going to listen to it, hopefully, and take action. So again, not only am I going to give you information today on how to use teleseminars, but since this is a teleseminar itself, you should kind of pay attention to the process and the system that I'm using, because it's something that you ought to mimic and model to when you do your own teleseminars. So with that, let's go ahead. You can turn the page to page 2. In page 2, I'll start at the top. The format that I'm going to use today is kind of what I call a fill-in-the-blank method. It's very easy to use and to follow, especially if you have a lot of information to cover and you don't want to go off track. Fill-in-the-blank also helps as an involvement tool, so that if you have people on the call and you want to make sure that they, A, learn what you're telling them and pay attention, and then B, commit that information to memory, you're going to get much better results if they're writing things down as you go throughout the call and committing them to memory than it is if you don't have this kind of format. Studies show that if you list information, sometimes I think, the next day, you lose 50% of that between 48 hours and 36 hours, 90% of that's gone, and within a week you've probably forgotten everything. If you have a note sheet, and especially a fill-in-the-blank format where they can write it down in their own handwriting, if they take good notes, you get close to 100% retention because it's there in black and white. So again, on the study guide, we're on page 2. First, I want to take a little time and kind of go over why is a teleseminar a persuasive marketing tool. Item number 1, people get to hear your voice. Your voice, that's the fill-in for number 1. And that's powerful because, especially if you're an accountant, CPA, financial planner, at some point, if you don't know the person that is on the call, or even if they're a current client and, you're positioning and possibly going to ask for, their investments, it helps for them to hear your voice and get to know you. The old saying in marketing is that people like to do business with folks they know, like, and trust. If they already know you, your voice, hopefully you have a good voice, will help them like you and especially trust you. And this is true even more if you're using this as a lead generation tool. Number two, when they hear your voice, they get to, on a teleseminar, focus on the message you want to communicate. Message is the fill in the blank. And I'm going to talk about this down a little bit further on the page, but on a teleseminar, as opposed to a webinar, the only thing that they can hear is your voice. You don't have to worry about a screen in front. If they're on the computer, hopefully they've turned that off, and they won't get distracted. But on the phone, all you have to look at is really the note sheet and hear their voice. And so you get to have their attention more if they're just focusing on that message. And three, because you're in a speaking role, you're perceived as an expert or an authority. That's the fill in the blank, expert or an authority. For some strange reason, anybody that does public speaking or teleseminars, which is a form of that, is considered an expert or an authority by anybody that listens. We kind of ascribe that characteristic to somebody because it's, I guess, maybe a little bit of a performance, especially in public speaking. It takes a little bit of skill. Some people are afraid to speak, even more than, I think, what was it? There was a study that they were afraid of speaking more than they were of dying, which is a strange concept. But at any rate, as a speaker, whether it's on the phone or in person, you're considered an expert. So, second section, why is a teleseminar an efficient marketing tool? Well, number one, you can leverage your time with many people. So the fill in the blank is leverage. And here's how I explain that. Let's say if you're going to a sales presentation or you're going to meet with somebody maybe to do some type of consultation. If it's just one-on-one, if you're going to make a sale, your close rate has to be 100%. If you're on a teleseminar and you've got multiple people on the line or on the phone with you, and I've been on teleseminars where we've had over 100, sometimes over 200 people on them, just to get one sale, if you have 100 people on the call, well, your close rate only has to be 1%. And so, it's quick math. On a teleseminar, you can give out the same message to one person as you can to 100, 200, 1,000 people, depending upon, the audience that you have before you. So you can leverage your time with a teleseminar. Number two, everybody has a phone. Phone's the fill in the answer. I know this seems strange, but in this day and age, not everybody has a computer. There are some folks, especially older people, that just haven't grasped technology. I know my mother has no idea what a computer is. My dad used one for a little while, but he used it really to play solitaire. And so if you have, let's say, a client base that's affluent, maybe they're baby boomers, they're senior in age, they're probably age 60 or 70, there may be a chance they don't have a computer, but they've got a phone, so they could be on a teleseminar. Number three, teleseminars can be repurposed as other advertising, selling, and retention tools. We're going to talk about repurposing. On today's call, I am recording it, and I'm going to use it for a couple different reasons and some different formats. You can do this too when you host a teleseminar, and we'll explain that a little bit later. And number four, full-blown conference call or bridge line services where you can host teleseminars. The full-blown versions are less than $100 a month. It's not very expensive. There are even free conference call lines out there that I know people use. They're not of high quality. Sometimes you have to pay extra for recordings and some other bells and whistles. But there are free ones. But if you get a full-blown call bridge service that can handle, let's say, 250 people, they're less than $100. There's lots of them out there, so it's an inexpensive tool to use. Third section, why teleseminars and not webinars? And I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Well, number one is because when you hold a webinar, if you use something like GoToMeeting or WebEx, those type of services, they require an app, download, and installation. That's your write-in, download and installation. sometimes those don't go very well. It could be the technology or the computer just doesn't sync with whatever the app is that you have to download, or it doesn't install properly. And often you get people that just can't be on the webinar because of that particular hurdle. Number two is that the screen and the call often don't synchronize. I've been on teleseminars before, both as a participant and somebody that's presenting, where sometimes the screen doesn't synchronize. They can see the screen, but they can't hear the audio, or vice versa. Or, and this has happened on more than one occasion, GoToMeeting has given us the wrong access code and or phone number, and so we'll be on the call talking, but nobody's on our call. They're on something else, and they can't hear. So it complicates it. Number three, slower and older computers can't handle the graphics. On a webinar, there's a lot of screen sharing obviously involved. You're showing your screen to folks, and you may have the best 8 megabyte or gigabyte RAM computer out there, but if the people that you're listening to are still working off of, XP or Windows 98, they have slow computers, they can't handle the graphics and the screen changes. So that's why I don't like to use webinars. That's why you're on a teleseminar today. And I think you give just as good information or more, especially if you use a note sheet and you kind of, again, focus people to listen on the message that you're delivering rather than on, the screen and the graphics, which can distract people. Right below that, too, and I kind of want to step back and qualify this. Today, when I'm, talking about teleseminar as a marketing tool, that's, I guess, a qualifier, because there are a lot of people out there, whether they're advertising agencies, graphic designers, other marketing firms, that will come and try and sell, any small business, could be CPA or an accountant, but any small business, a lot of tools to try and improve their business. And tools are good if you know how to use them, but they really need to be part of a larger system. And I have what I call the marketing pyramid down here, where actually tools and systems along with principles and strategies, that's the foundation of whatever marketing that you're doing, where the advertising, trying to bring people in, whether it's, advertising in print, direct mail, things like that, that's at the top of the pyramid, where you've got to set up the tools, the systems, use certain strategies, and employ good business principles to make your advertising successful. So today, we're just talking about how to use a teleseminar as a tool, and I'm going to kind of go through a simple, what I call a couple nice systems that you can use a teleseminar and on an ongoing basis integrate into your accounting advertising as part of a broader system. So that's page 2. Let's go to page 3. And again, they're up at the top. How to use a teleseminar as part of a marketing system. And again, if you're just joining us, I see a couple of people getting on the call late. To get the most out of the call, just go ahead, have the note sheet there in front of you. We're on page 3. Go ahead, jot down your answers as we cover them. And that way, if I say, the one thing that you thought was outstanding or great, you've got it here in writing and you won't forget it. First, we're going to talk about accounting client lead generation, not the investment clients, but just the accounting client. And again, this is targeted if you're accountant, CPA, bookkeeper, EA, somebody that's not doing financial services. You're not, CFP, IAR, something like that. But you want to use teleseminars to generate leads. A lot of practice management companies out there, Build Your Firm, NCI, there's a ton of them. They're going to give you a script. And as part of their program, they're going to, tell you to call over a list and ask for an appointment. It's the old appointment setting. Well, that works, and you get a certain amount of response, based on how good your list is, how good your telemarketer is, are you catching people at the right time, and all those other things that are kind of variables. But I would suggest that you can, and we've got numbers to prove this, if you use this different approach, using a teleseminar, and I'm going to use a repurposed example, you can get a better response out of your appointment setting if you're not calling and asking for an appointment, but you're calling to give them some type of special audio report, which is a recorded teleseminar on a particular topic. And so the first one we're going to talk about is bookkeeping leads. Let's say you're looking for, bookkeeping clients. Rather than just call and go through your script and say, hey, this is Jeff. I'm calling to see if you'd like a second opinion on your bookkeeping services. Try this. Hi, this is Jeff from Acme Accounting, and I'm doing a quick survey to see if you do your own internal bookkeeping or do you outsource it. They give an answer, whatever it is. Well, the reason I'm asking is that we have a special audio report on 3 strategies to attack and solve the bookkeeping aspects of running your small business. I'd be happy to send it to you via a download link. What's your email address? We've got people, or I have clients, that use this approach, and they get a better response from people that they actually talk to. They show some level of interest. If you're giving them something first, in this case, it's a free audio report, and again, we've titled it. You can make up whatever title that you want. This happens to be the actual title of a client of mine, what they use. You're giving it to them first, and you're offering something rather than asking for something right off the bat. So in this case, you're kind of, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're offering something first to the client, and you're trying to make sure that there's somebody that has some interest in whatever it is that you're going to offer, because if they say yes to, downloading whatever it is, your report, well, you know that they've raised their hand and they may be hot on the topic of, wanting some bookkeeping help if they've got problems, or they may be thinking about either outsourcing it or doing something down the road. Either way, they're not going to answer yes to having you send it to them if they're not at all interested. And you're going to catch people that don't have a particular interest right now, but maybe down the road, more than if you're just asking for an appointment to come out and talk to them and give them a second opinion. Number 3, book or QuickBooks leads. Again, this is a modification off, a script. If you're trying to, let's say, pick up QuickBooks clients, if you're a QuickBooks Pro advisor or something like that. Hey, this is Jeff from Acme Accounting. I'm doing a quick survey to see if you use QuickBooks as your accounting software. Whatever answer they give, I don't care. Actually, I do care in this case, because I think I want them to answer yes. The reason I'm asking is that we have a special audio report on 7 hidden QuickBooks mistakes business owners should avoid for maximum profitability and growth. I'd be happy to send it to you via the download link. What's your email address? Again, this is an example of, rather than, calling and say, hey, do you guys use QuickBooks? Could we come out there and, are you interested in some training or something like that? More often than not, you're going to get a no, partially because the call's an intrusion, and you're asking, them to commit to an appointment to somebody that they don't know about. In this case, the strategy is you're offering something to them for free, where you've had a teleseminar, and I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but where you've held a teleseminar, we've recorded a call, you've talked about 7 hidden QuickBooks mistakes, or it could be 2 or 3, it doesn't really matter, that business owners typically make and they should avoid, and then you're sending them the download link to the replay. Again, if you use this type of strategy as opposed to just pure, straight, 2x4 in the forehead appointment setting, you're going to get a lot more people that respond to that, and that's, again, I've kind of already filled in the blank on number 4. In these examples, the CPA, we've already done the one-on-one teleseminar, we've recorded the call, and we're just offering that audio replay. They're more apt to listen to this and respond to it than just the pure asking for an appointment. Part of this is number 5, as part of the follow-up sequence, that's your fill-in-the-blank follow-up. You can also, once you've gotten their email address, you can then re-invite them to a live teleseminar a month or a quarter later. Again, we have clients that do this where the appointment setter is actually calling, and the appointment setter actually may be the CPA or the accountant or somebody hired out or outsourced. But they call, they offer a free report. It could be a PDF or it could be an audio report. In this case, as we talk about it, repurposing an audio teleseminar. They listen to that. They may not follow or take the person up on the offer that's in the teleseminar right away, but a month later, a quarter later, when we re-invite them to another event, another teleseminar, something like that, they respond. So, number 6, another way that you can repurpose your teleseminars is that you can transcribe the teleseminar. That's the first fill in the blank. You can have it transcribed and then physically mail, M-A-I-L, not M-A-L-E, and mail it to the lead. This is going to be one of the case studies that we talk about today. Just had a CPA. We hosted a teleseminar last month. 20 people on the call. 5 actually responded to the offers that we made. We made 2 offers, and one of the follow-ups was we took the teleseminar. We didn't transcribe it, although we had a version of it on paper, but we sent the version on paper out, which is close to a transcription, and we also recorded the teleseminar and sent out an audio CD as part of the follow-up, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the results of that a little bit later. Number 7, the audio teleseminar approach is great for people /accountants /CPAs that have writer's block. That's the fill in the blank, writer's block. You know, if you ask somebody to write an article for a magazine, a lot of times they just don't know where to start. Even the most knowledgeable person, that has a ton of information in their head, to sit down, get on a keyboard, and hammer out words that make sense is difficult, and it can take a lot of time just to get started. Nobody that I know, though, has a problem of getting on the phone and just talking, and that's one of the beauties of a teleseminar, is that you can talk, you can record whatever it is that you say, and then you can have it transcribed very quickly, very inexpensively. And for anybody that's got writer's block, it's a great approach to take, and it saves you a ton of time. Number 8 is that this approach to client lead generation is less salesy. That's salesy. I don't know if that's a real word or not, but it's less salesy and it's more educational. That's the fill in the blank. And using the educational approach will actually increase the number of people that respond positively to an appointment setter type of call. And again, this is what I mentioned before. If you're calling and you're just asking for appointments, it's not uncommon. I've heard numbers quoted that you may get 1 out of 70, 1 out of 100 people respond. We've had situations where using this type of approach, you can get 50% more, 100% more, double the amount of people responding yes to that type of educational approach than you do for the straight appointment. Number 9, and I'm sorry for the mistake there, but this approach creates, not greats, but creates a list of people that have expressed interest that you write in. They've expressed interest by raising their hand and requesting the report. And this is, especially if you live in a large metropolitan area, this is important because whether it's 5 or 10 miles around the radius of your office, even if you're a regional or a national firm, you might think, of all the people that we can talk to, who do I spend the most money on? Who do I focus my efforts on? Teleseminars are a great sifting tool where you can invite a lot of people to either be on the call or through appointment setting, and when people raise their hand, they have some level of interest, and that I guess subgroup, they are then somebody that you can focus more time and attention on because they've expressed interest in whatever it is that you're offering them. And we'll talk a little bit more about all the different topics and things that you can offer them. So they've expressed interest, they've raised their hand, it's a subgroup that you can now work on, and number 10, they are now part of your sales funnel, and you can do follow-up marketing. Some people like to call it drip marketing to them, and you can do it on a regular basis with either an emailed or monthly newsletter. You can follow up with direct mail pieces or even future teleseminars. So again, sales funnel is your write-in for page 3. On to page 4. Turn on your study guide. Page 4, I want to talk a little bit about the investment client lead generation approach using teleseminars. Case study number 1, this particular CPA, we just hosted a teleseminar last month. They used a live panel teleseminar format to educate the attendees on, in this case, what to avoid when it comes to investing. And one of the attendees, I've been following up with the folks at the firm. They're a client of mine, just moved over $1.3 million in assets over to this particular accountant. Now, the caveat here is that on this particular accountant, we've been doing teleseminars off and on for over 2 years. This one was the first one we did on investments. And although it was the first one we did on investments, the CPA had been working with particular clients in the firm already. They had expressed interest in helping them move over assets, to manage their financial services. And so the teleseminar wasn't the very first item where the particular client in this case happened to talk to the CPA about this. But as it happened, this particular CPA I think has probably close to 800 clients. We did a teleseminar again on investing. I think the title was 13 mistakes retirees make when planning their investments for retirement. 20 people were on the call, 5 people responded, and one of those happened to be somebody that, again, moved the $1.3 million over. Again, they weren't the first, this wasn't the first time, but the teleseminar helped put them over the edge, so to speak, because the CPA was on the line, the investment advisor representative was on the line, there were 2 more staff accountants that had some investment background that were on the line, and we did a panel for an hour and explained all these particular errors that they needed to avoid. And if I remember right, somebody even picked up the phone and dialed in right after the teleseminar. I mean, immediately after we made the offer to the office to talk to the person to get things going. So that's case study number 1. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about how they do this as we go forward. Case study number 2, this particular person is an accountant that back in the late 90s started from scratch, put together an accounting practice, had been in public accounting, put a shingle out, and had, through a lot of hard work, had developed, I think it was a 10 office practice with $6 million in revenue. So, pretty impressive when it comes to growing an accounting practice. They also, for those of you who know Troy, this is Troy Patton I'm talking about, sold financial services, and as Troy tells the story, of the $6 million in revenue, over $3 million of that was financial services fees generated from that side of the business. And so Troy's pretty good at this, and eventually at some point sold his company, sold the $6 million accounting practice, but after he did that, he was looking for something else to do, and so he did start a mutual fund. You may know that as the Archer funds, and he was on a non-compete agreement. So when I met him, he had all this knowledge, but couldn't talk to any past clients. He still wanted to do some accounting or something with accountants, didn't know what it was, and he was starting up the mutual fund. Well, as we talked, he told me his story. I thought it was a pretty compelling story, and so we said, it would make sense that you would help coach other accountants and CPAs on what you did to create a $6 million accounting firm. And we brainstormed and put together the Coach Patton coaching program. And any of you that are Coach Patton members, the fees involved. And so Troy, and this is, I think we started this, was it 4 years ago, has basically developed a 6-figure a year coaching business. And the unique thing about it is that the way we've delivered this, we advertised it, created it, was that it's all been through teleseminars. The first call was in August. I think we had 8 or 9 people sign up. That was a 5-figure bump in income, and ever since then his coaching business has grown. And not only do we advertise using teleseminars on how to grow an accounting practice and be part of his coaching program, but that program is also delivered via teleseminars on a regular basis. Troy has other products on practice acquisition, again, that he delivers totally through teleseminars. So, this isn't related to the investment side or the lead generation side for an accountant, but it's kind of a powerful example of how you can use teleseminars to deliver products and services and create, nice programs. On the case study number 3, this CPA had a tax client contact him after one of the live teleseminars. This particular CPA is out on the Pacific Coast, on the West Coast, had been doing teleseminars for about 6 or 8 months, and this particular tax client asked the CPA if he could review his $2 million plus investment portfolio because he was considering moving it to somebody else and probably him. And let me see, I think we've got a little bit of an audio recording. See if I can play this particular client of mine. We were just talking the other day, and I asked him about it, and here's what he said.
Investments, his portfolio that he currently has, and he said, you've been doing these seminars for, the last 6 to 8 months, and I listened to them or listened to the replays, and you've been sending out email information, and when it first happened, I really wasn't thinking about, moving or doing anything, but some things have happened, and he says, I thought I'm just going to meet with Dave and give him a chance to see if, what he would do differently or what he would do with this. And I have no idea if I'll get the account, but then he said, you just need to keep doing those things because people will respond. You just may not get it right away. And he goes, it took me 8 months to do it, but he's got over $2 million invested. This would be by far the biggest account that I've ever ran into.
And this is a good example of part of what I'm going to talk about on page 5 is that teleseminars aren't a panacea for, finding tons and tons of leads from people that don't know you or pulling in investment clients. The first teleseminar that you have, it's part of a system, it's part of a process. And again, in this particular example, this CPA, who's a client of mine, we've been doing teleseminars religiously for 6, maybe it was 8 months, and we've had people on the call, but it took that long for this particular client of the CPA, who he didn't know, by the way, that this tax client had $2 million investment portfolio. But he built trust through this process, and again, on this one particular call afterwards, he gave him a call. And it isn't funny as you listen to that, the client's telling the CPA, you need to keep doing these teleseminars because people are going to respond. And so it's turned out good for him. On to page 5, investment client lead generation, how other CPAs/accountants do it. And it is the actual teleseminars. Number 1, here's and this is kind of me pulling back the curtain. This is what they do as part of a system. They have all their client information first, including physical address. That's the first one. They're at the top. In an email software database. That's your second fill in the blank, an email software database. You would be surprised, as I work with CPAs and accountants across the country, as they come on board and we start to, get things set up to help them with their marketing, I ask, okay, how many clients do you have? They give me a number. Okay, then I ask, how many of those clients do you have all their email address and contact information in a database that you can send me? And more often than not, probably 80% of the time, they don't have that. They don't have a complete list of how to get a hold of, either through physical address or email, all their information. You think they would, but an email's probably the bigger problem, but they don't. They have the information, but it's not all in one central location where they can use it to market to their clients. So that's the first step. The guys that do this well and that are having success at it have that list there so that they can work it. Number 2, they send out 2 things on a regular monthly basis. That's your fill in the blank, monthly basis. A, they send out an educational one-story article or story/article newsletter. That's your second fill in the blank. It's just a simple newsletter that we send out every month. And number 2, they send out an invitation to an educational, fill in the blank is teleseminar. The teleseminar is educational, very similar to what I'm doing right now, what you're listening to. I'm giving you a lot of good information, a lot of good content. We use these study guides on the teleseminars or the note sheet or the cheat sheets, whatever you want to call them, and that's what they do. They send it out on a monthly basis. And many of you on the call today may have gotten a newsletter from me. It's something like that, except just emailed out to their particular client base. So number 3, the newsletter does 2 things. One, because a lot of people ask me, what do I need to send the newsletter? It seems like a waste of time, and, I don't want to do it, don't know what to write about. Well, A, it educates and updates the client, but does not sell them. That's your fill in the blank. It doesn't sell them. But number 2, B, it does invite them to the teleseminar. And I guess the thing that I should have put in there, too, is that not only I do say this. It educates and updates them. That's probably the more important thing, because you don't want to always be in a position where you're talking with, whether it's leads or current clients, where you're always pitching them, selling them, asking them for money, asking them to sign up for something, unless you're educating them beforehand or at the same time, on the particular topic. It comes across as too salesy, and it can be a turnoff. So you want to make sure that your information does educate and does update them, but doesn't necessarily have to sell them or pure sell them 100%. So number 4, the teleseminar has 25 elements to it. That's the write-in, and you'll see this here shortly. But really, as you do these on a monthly basis or on a regular basis, it does 2 things. Again, it educates the client on the issue /topic or /opportunity. That's your fill in the blank there on 4A. You want to educate them on some issue, some topic, or some opportunity that's coming up. And then B, at 1/2 or that's the first fill-in, or 2/3 at that point in the call, it invites them to take the next step in the selling or /buying process. That's what I like to view it as, of moving their investments over to this particular CPA, and this is the investment angle that we're talking about. And in this case, this investment teleseminar, we're offering them a free portfolio review. And that's the last fill in the blank, free portfolio review or analysis, whatever you want to call it. These are the offers at the end of all these teleseminars, where you can and should be having some kind of call to action with a specific offer. So kind of like I'm doing. It's what is it? 40. We're 40 minutes into the call. I've spent 40 minutes trying to give you some information about how to use a teleseminar, how other people are using them, what kind of success that they're having. Here's some things to do on a regular basis, and I'm going to make an offer to you guys that are listening that if you like this and you want to learn more about it, here's the next step. And so I'm kind of being a little bit transparent about what we're doing here today on the call, but this is the exact same thing that we do on all these either lead generation calls with people or the investment client lead generation calls for investments. The call goes along, we cover a series of topics, and we use fill in the blanks just like this, and then we make an offer to the people, and in this case, again, it's the free portfolio review or analysis. And there are some variations on that, but and I'm going to cover those here shortly. You can adjust them based on whatever, I guess, your resources are at your particular company. You can even, I guess, if you can get through it on an investment basis that it's SEC okay, you can offer incentives, and I can explain that too. So again, that's page 5. This is how these particular 2 clients that I have that are also part of the Coach Patton program, that's how they're generating these $1.3 million move of assets over to a particular accountant. That's how the CPA out on the West Coast just got an audience with this tax accountant that had $2 million in assets and is thinking about moving it over. So coming up, I'm going to be talking about 12 investment and accounting client teleseminar topics and titles that you can use to create and host your monthly teleseminar calls. But first, and if you turn them to page 6, this is my offer on this teleseminar to see if you're interested in learning more about this and actually implementing it in your particular practice or your firm. And this is, again, what you should be doing on your teleseminars with your either clients or your lead generation folks if you've delivered good content and you've given them a lot of information. So page 6, if you think this tool and a system like it will help you grow your accounting practice, then I'm inviting you to learn all the insider secrets with my, and this is my name for it, my in-depth 3-module teleseminar toolkit training program on, and this is the title, same as the teleseminar, How to Attract $1 Million Plus Investment Clients Plus Tax, Accounting, Bookkeeping Leads Using Live Teleseminars. And how I've structured this, and even if you don't, you're not interested in this or you're not going to sign up, you can still use what I have in my modules as an outline for trying to do this yourself. I have it structured into 3 modules, and this is how you need to think about using teleseminars. First module is how, when, and what you do to prepare or set up before a first teleseminar. There's a lot of steps that go into place. You can't especially if you're doing this for lead generation only. You can't host a teleseminar and invite people that don't know you or have any clue who you are out of the blue and expect to get a good response. It's a lot easier if you have a CPA firm with clients, whether they're tax clients, bookkeeping, payroll, whatever services that you offer. You've got an existing client base and you can do this on the investment side, but if you're just doing it for lead generation, you have to set up and prepare to do this. Either way, some of the things that you need to do beforehand for preparing for the actual teleseminar itself are you need to choose a topic, whether that's, you're trying to go for investments or just accounting clients. You need to find topics that your clients are interested in. And on the training program, I'm going to explain a very simple way to get an unlimited number of topics that your clients are or somebody is going to be interested in. You have to figure out how to set up your teleseminar software before the call. You can't just jump on the line and start talking. There is some technology involved. I'm going to be explaining the 9 embarrassing mistakes to avoid before your teleseminar. You would be surprised there's more than 9, but the top 9, there are things that you don't want to do before the call that can screw up, like giving the wrong access code. I've been on seminars where we've done that before, and we're on the call, but the actual speaker, and this is one of the top speakers in the country, had the wrong access code. He didn't show up until 30 minutes later, and we lost half the attendance on the call. You have to plan your offer before the call, your call to action, your follow-up sequences, so that after the call you can follow up. But you need to do that before the call, because that dictates how you talk and go through things on the call. I'm going to explain 4 methods to inviting people on your call. Doing it through email is just one. And again, if you receive my newsletter in the mail, that was a second way to do it. I'm going to explain 3 strategies to boost attendance for your call, because again, if you get somebody to respond to your call, 1 out of 100, probably 30 are actually going to show up, and there's ways to boost that attendance so that you can get 40%, 50%, sometimes even more than that. And then I'm going to cover free versus paid teleseminar services, because there are both out there. The service I use does cost a little money, but it has advantages to it, like audio replay. So I'm going to go through the pros and cons of both, and also talk about free versus paid email invitation services. Because, in this day and age, unless you're using an email service, let's say if you have 1,000 clients or 1,500 clients, if you're a large CPA firm, if you're going to invite people to these phone calls on a monthly basis, your postage bill is going to be pretty large, and email is just another media that you can use to remind people and get them on the call. That's Module 1. Module 2 is going to be the strategies and structures to follow during your first teleseminar, and that's like we are on today, what you have to do and say and think about and plan for during the call. For example, days and times to host your teleseminars. Depends upon if you're looking for an investment client versus just accounting leads. People or companies, there are certain times of the day and days of the week that work better than others. I'm going to give you all the different formats that you can use on teleseminars, whether it's you just talking like I am today, or if it's a team of 2 people. If you have a guest, you can use a panel, you can use an interview format, you can even use a call-in format, but I'm going to cover all those. 7 embarrassing mistakes to avoid during the teleseminar call. I had a slight embarrassment mistake just on the call. If you notice, I had a typo. That's not a big one. That's not one of the 7, but there are 7 big mistakes that I'm going to explain, how to avoid. The timing for the pre-call, the introductions, because there is a structure to all this, the content, the offer, the Q&A, which we're going to have, and any wrap-up that you do, strategies to use note sheets or study guides, 2 methods for keeping people on your calls, and some tips on how to use the teleseminar software during the Q&A and the open lines. Plus, if you're somebody that's doing these types of calls for whether it's investments or just lead generation, I'm going to share with you some of my note sheets that I've used on these different calls myself and with clients so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and also talk about getting feedback from your attendees. And module number 3, last but not least, will cover follow-up strategies and tools to use after you have your first teleseminar or any ongoing teleseminars. That is the replays. If you're late or if you missed a call, that you have clients, and this happens to my calls, that happens to everybody's calls, how to use audio replays so that they can listen to it. The 4 different repurposing formats for your teleseminar calls. How to actually post your calls on your website. You can post them also on Google Places. You can post them on your YouTube account. You can post them on Facebook and use them as a lead generation tool for both investment and just lead generation for accounting clients. I'm going to explain on Module 3 how to use autoresponders so that you can automate your follow-up. It's almost set it and forget it, but if you do it once, autoresponders can take care of a lot of the follow-up that you do. How to use countdown strategies for your offers or your call to action. How to capture contact information for follow-up. You need to do that so that you have a way to get a hold of people that are on the call. And last but not least, a strategy for implementing or integrating past teleseminars into any future appointment setting, any future direct mail advertising that you're using, or you can use these also as a tool to help increase your close rate on your sales appointments. So that's the 3 modules. That's what I cover in Module 3. And if you're listening to this, whether it's live today or on the replay, whether it's later tonight or tomorrow, I've got 3 bonuses. And again, this is the same type of format that you want to use on your teleseminars. For my program, I've got 3 action bonuses that I'm going to try and use. Some people call them ethical bribes to get you to take action. And bonus number 1 is going to be, if you're one of the first 24 enrollees, I will actually help you co-host your first live teleseminar, meaning I'll help with the pre-call, the introductions. I can be the person that asks you questions that you can answer, and moderate the lines for Q&A and do wrap-up. My only caveat is that we want you to have your call before June 30th of this year, before June 30th, so that it doesn't do any good to wait till the end of the year. We want you to take action as soon as you can. Bonus number 2, I call it the 2012 discount. For the first 12, as in 2012, enrollees, I'll discount $500 off the regular enrollment fee on a first-come, first-served basis. And there's an order form that you can fax into this fax number. So the first 12 get a $500 off discount. And then bonus number 3, I'll discount another $500 off the regular enrollment fee, which is on, I believe, page 8. Page 9. But I'll discount another $500 off the program if you are a Coach Patton Coaching Program current member or alumni in good standing per Troy as of 12/31/2012. And so if you're a Coach Patton person and if you're one of the first 12, you get basically $1,000 off the program. And here's the training schedule. Again, because it's tax season is coming up, we want to make sure that we've got you started off, getting going, holding these teleseminars before A, we get into taxes, and that's all your clients or leads particularly think about, and B, you get buried in tax season. And so the first program, which, by the way, is going to be recorded so that you can listen to it in case you can't make it yourself, you're late to a particular call, or you have somebody else in your office actually doing the training if you want to delegate this to somebody else. The first call is going to be this Thursday, January 5th, Module 1 at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and the format is 2 hours of training, 1 hour of question and answer where we open up the lines, and if you've got a question, I can answer it live. Everybody can hear the answer, and we can get everybody on the same page and answer their questions, live on the call. It's the nitty-gritty, 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of stuff. How do you do this? What button do you push? What do I ask? What do I say? What if they say this? How do I do that type of thing? Module number 2 is next Tuesday, a week from today, January 10th. And, I should say, module number 1 is the prep and setup steps before your first teleseminar. Module number 2 is going to be the strategies and structures to follow during the first teleseminar on a live call. Same as before, 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have 2 hours of training, followed by an hour, if we need it, of question and answer. And then number 3, Module 3, follow-up strategies and tools to use after your teleseminars, to use after your teleseminars. And again, that's what we just covered on page 6. It's important to follow up on all those items so that people that either were on the call and didn't respond immediately or maybe missed the call and listened to an audio replay, you've got follow-up and you can get them to respond and encourage them to take the next step to buy whatever it is that you're offering. So those are the 3 programs. There are going to be some videos involved because I'm going to cover some of the different softwares that you use for email services to send out the invitations if you don't already have a Constant Contact or an iContact or a Infusionsoft or Salesforce or some type of email client for that, or Outlook. You know, everybody has that, but there are bulk email programs that you need to use, and so I'll do videos on how to use those different ones and a video on how to use the teleseminar services. I use Instant Teleseminar, and I can give you a link if you're interested. They have a 21 days for $1 type of offer, and you can kind of test it out and see how to use it, but they don't do a particularly good job of training you on how to use the program. I've been using it for 6 years, and you can learn from my mistakes and get all the shortcuts on how to do that. That's Module 3 in page 7. So back to content. And again, I hope you've enjoyed what I've been talking about. I hope you can see how you could possibly use this in your accounting practice. And whether you're going after investment clients or just accounting leads, you know, how you can actually host these teleseminars and how people are using them to generate not only leads, but investment clients if that's what you're doing to grow your practice. Some people, and again, this is what page 8 is for, some people get stuck on, Jeff, what do I talk about? I have no idea what to discuss. Here I'm going to give you 12 different topics, and I'm going to suggest a particular title that you can use to actually host a teleseminar on. Some of these are actual titles that I've used in the past with clients. Some of them happen to be the actual titles of the teleseminars that we use to drag over the $1.3 million with the one client just last month and get the other client with the $2 million portfolio to raise their hand. So here we go. Number 1, you can just write these into the boxes if you want. First one obviously would be investing. Here's a title for investing: 10 biggest mistakes affluent investors make and how to avoid them. Number 2, retirement is a hot topic. Your title for a retirement teleseminar could be 11 pitfalls for retirees to avoid when doing estate planning. Number 3, taxes, which is going to be coming up as a hot topic real soon. Your taxes teleseminar topic could be 5 legal and ethical strategies to reduce your taxable income. Number 4, payroll, if you're looking for payroll clients, could be 4 strategies to outsourcing your payroll. Bookkeeping, number 5, if you're looking for bookkeeping clients. 3 strategies to solve your small business bookkeeping problems. Again, this is an actual teleseminar that we did with a particular client. We held it live and generated leads that way, and then we recorded it, so we repurposed it, and we used that repurposed teleseminar for this particular accounting firm's appointment setter, and she gets email addresses, signs people up for this bookkeeping teleseminar replay, and they listen to that, and then some of those folks actually turn into tax clients or bookkeeping clients. Number 6, QuickBooks. If you're looking for QuickBooks clients, the title would be 7 hidden QuickBooks mistakes most small business owners make and how to avoid them. Again, that's an actual title of a QuickBooks report that we put together. Number 7, hiring a CPA. If you're looking, by the way, for just, regular accounting leads, hiring a CPA is a great way, and it's a great Google AdWords ad title and description that I use to generate a lot of leads. And the title for hiring a CPA would be 20 questions to ask before you hire a CPA or accountant. Number 8, budgeting. Here's your title for budgeting if you're looking to help people with their budgeting. How to stretch your paycheck using 4 simple budgeting tools. Number 9, succession planning. Again, if you're looking for investment clients or somebody to help with business owners in this case. A business owner's bucket checklist to succession planning. A business owner's bucket checklist to succession planning. Now, I haven't done this, but I think a great follow-up to something like this, if you host a seminar on succession planning, you go through a checklist, call it the bucket checklist, is to actually send the people that are on the call the Bucket List movie with Jack Nicholson and, who's the other actor? I can't remember his name. Morgan Freeman. You can get these on Amazon for $5 a piece and send that to them as part of the follow-up. I bet you no accountant or CPA in your city is doing that. A, holding that type of, teleseminar, B, doing that kind of follow-up. You would get a great response for it. Number 10, if you have any interest or you have clients that may be interested in precious metals, a teleseminar could be insider secrets to investing in gold and silver. Doesn't matter if you're pro or con, precious metals, whether you own gold or silver or you think it's a bad investment. You could talk about the pros and cons. You could be neutral on it. You could have somebody come in that's pro and or con, two people, and then interview them and tell both sides of the story. Obviously, with the markets as they are, there's a lot of advertisements for this. So, number 11, IRA rollovers could be a topic. Your title to the teleseminar could be Quick Start, Do-It-Yourself Guide to Rolling Over Your Old 401k into a Self-Directed IRA. And number 12, if you have clients that have rental property, if you're looking for tax returns that have rental property type of thing, somebody that owns rental or investment property is probably going to be somebody that's potentially a good investment type of client. Their tax returns are going to be bigger than your standard return. A title could be the tax benefits and accounting requirements of owning real estate, investment, or rental property. And again, we just did with another client of mine out west, we did one on this very topic. He has a real estate broker who has a big list of clients and actually asked the CPA to do a teleseminar. He had been on other teleseminars, asked the CPA to do a teleseminar on this particular topic so he could share it with all his clients, both past, current, and future. And so this is a way, again, for this CPA to use a teleseminar as an advertising tool. In this case, he's actually being referred in. So with that, that's the end of page 8. I want to open up the lines. If you have a question, let's see. If there's not too much noise, I'll open up the lines. Or you can do *2 to ask me a question. So the lines are open if anybody is on the call or on the simulcast, on the webcast. You can go ahead and ask your question now. Our first caller, go ahead. I saw you raise your hand. Go ahead and ask your question.
Jeff, it's Carlos. How are you doing today?
Hey, Carlos, I'm good. What's your question, sir?
My question is, I missed some part of the seminar because I had to jump into another call.
Sure.
Where can I go to get the recording?
I am going to, and again, this is all part of our using a teleseminar. I'm going to, or this is being recorded, but I will send you the replay to the call so that you can listen to it either on the web or you can download it to an MP3 player. So I've got your email address, Carlos. I'll just send you the download link.
Thank you,
Fair
sir.
enough?
Yes, sir.
Great. I know you have to get to the other call, so thanks, Carlos. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Anybody else? Question? And if again, we've answered all the questions, I'll be happy to tell you about my experience real quick. It's probably the most boring part about this call. Okay, real quick, my name's Jeff Bell. I am an independent marketing consultant for probably 19 years. I worked in both small and large companies here in central Indiana. One of the companies was Resort Condominiums International. I ran the call center there. We had 800,000 members as customers, and we had 400 people on the telephones, and I ran the sales and marketing aspect of the call center. Also worked with somebody that actually may be on the call today, a small company selling a reading program against Hooked on Phonics. We had a small reading program. We grew that company from about $2 million in sales up to $9 million in sales in 18 months, and had some entrepreneurial work. We did all the telemarketing, inbound sales calls, TV advertising for that company for several years. And then I worked for a company called National Programming Service. This was in the days of C-band advertising before DirecTV and Dish Network. And we had 400,000 customers in that environment. And again, I ran the sales and the marketing and the call center aspect of that. So I've been doing that for probably 19 years, then left on my own and went out and started doing independent consulting, and have been doing that for, since 2001, before 9/11. And so what is that? Probably 11 years plus. And I've just worked with people around the country, and some here in central Indiana. Actually, 95% of my clients are outside of the state, and I do everything on the phone and via TeleSeminars. Troy Patton from Coach Patton is one of my clients. He bought a company that I used to work for and inherited me, and so we've been working together since 2006. So that's me in a nutshell. Back to, unless there's any other questions, back to the program. If you do have questions about TeleSeminars, you're always welcome to give me a call and leave your question on my voice recorder at area code 317-713-1244. That's 317-713-1244. If you did like what you heard today on the teleseminar, use that same number. Give me some feedback, whether that's a testimonial or some constructive criticism. I really enjoy hearing what people have to say about the particular call. If you say something nice, just be warned, I may use it on one of my websites as social proof that you thought you learned something today. So you're welcome to do that. If you're interested in taking the next step, again, the offer, I went through that. It's pretty simple. On page 9, the enrollment fee, normally I sell this program for $19.95. That's what teleseminar programs cost for, this type of actual in-depth, cover everything that you need to know about teleseminars. But as I think I mentioned probably about halfway through the call, if you're one of the first 12 that send in your enrollment fee, you can drop $500 off that. Just go ahead, trust that if you do send that in, that you're getting the $500. If we go beyond the limit, I'll let you know, but just write that down on page 9, minus $500. And again, if you're part of the Coach Patton program, we're giving anybody that's, again, whether it's current, you're in the program now, or you're an alumni, another $500 discount. So the net enrollment fee in that particular situation is going to be $995. And I do have a 2-pay payment program. For some reason, 2-pay does help some people. The math on that, you can have me split your payments. I just have to add $50 per payment. But if you do the math, it would be 2 payments of $547.50. Any other questions, any other comments about the program or teleseminars? Well, again, I thank everybody for being on the call today. You will receive an email from me as part of the follow-up. Again, whether you participate in my course or not, just look at my particular follow-up. Use that as a model if you want to try and go out and do this yourself, whether you try it this year in 2012 before tax season or you start afterwards. It's a great tool. It ought to be part of your marketing strategies and your systems that you use, whether you're trying to generate leads just for the accounting business, whether it's bookkeeping, payroll, tax work, QuickBooks, things like that. You can actually do a lot of these teleseminars by yourself and record them and just use the replays as part of the tools, or you can do them live like we're doing here today, or you can use them to try and pull in investment clients. And the 2 examples that I gave today, it's happening out there. These examples are less than 2 months old of people that have been doing teleseminars for 6-8 months, and these types of folks are responding. It's not rocket science. There are a lot of bells and whistles, and you kind of have to learn how to do them in the right sequence and at the right time and how to avoid the mistakes. But if you do that, I think you can get a lot of results using teleseminars. So with that, I want to say again, thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to email me back. Just reply to the email that you received, or give me a call. Leave a number on my voice message, 317-713-1244, or again, if you enjoyed it, give me some feedback or a testimonial. So I want to thank everybody again, and I hope to talk to you soon.